reason the Fight, Laugh, Feast conference is crucial is the combination of those words. Christians need to learn how to fight, they need to learn how to laugh, they need to learn how to feast.
The next Reformation, what will it look like? Probably a lot like what we're seeing here at this particular conference.
We need to say what the prophets said and do what the prophets did.
Jesus has said, every square inch is mine.
We need to be more combative than we are. We need to be more cheerful than we are. And we need to be more given over to celebration. The joy of the Lord is our strength.
As in all things, we start with the Word.
We need to use our entire toolkit. And I think that a lot of Christians, there are certain tools that they haven't traditionally used.
Jesus, when dealing with spiritually dangerous things, Jesus tells the truth in hard ways. He used a serrated edge.
We're on a field of battle, and we fight until the king relieves us of duty. And if we have him with us, we really cannot lose.
When we're fighting, we're singing, much like the Israelites as they sent their choir out in front to lead their armies into battle with song.
The rules of engagement have got to be defined by the dictums of Christ.
The world is asking all kinds of questions, and we've got the answers.
We need to look like the church described in the Scriptures, which is a church that despairs of its own competency and lays hold of the grace and the mercy of Christ.
God put dragons in the world so that we could fight them, and we should fight dragons with shouts of joy.
I want to hear Fight, Laugh, Feast on 3. 1, 2, 3. Fight, Laugh, Feast!
Come on, Toby. That's where the dance band's going.
There we go. Lean with
Toby's a little more white than I am. Hey, y'all. Welcome to Cross Politics Midweek Fix. Good to be with you, Pastor Toby Chalk Knox and President-elect Waterboy.
How come we don't get President-elect?
I think you should be Waterboy-elect.
Because Waterboy-elect. I might be Waterboy-elect. I don't know.
We haven't decided yet. It's been 4 years, but we haven't decided yet.
If he's in or if he's not. And we've obviously had a pile of new listeners come on board in the last 2 months.
Is it obvious?
Yeah, it's a little obvious. Praise God. Thank you for you guys for tuning in. And want to let you guys know, particularly our new listeners, that our Sunday special airs every Sunday night at 7
p.m. I should share the show.
Pacific time. The Wednesday Midweek Fix. We usually try to live stream at 10 a.m. like we are now, so make sure you share the show and like it and get on with it. And then we're also on DirecTV and Xfinity and a couple other local TV stations Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Tune in you can go to DirecTV's guide and Xfinity's guide and find us there and everything. So that's pretty exciting. But we, of course, encourage you to take that step. Follow Gavin Newsom.
What?
We'll get there. We'll get there in a second.
No, we don't.
We'll get there in a second.
Do not follow Gavin
Newsom. Never mind. No.
Take that. I thought this was like a tent revival for a second. Take that step.
Take that step.
Can't you feel that pushing you down?
I started talking like Gavin Newsom and
then he got confused.
Yeah.
He was trying to invite them to become members.
That's right. Become members and download the app and subscribe to our magazine. Those are the big three that really bless us and really help us be able to do more.
Also, Gabe, when do all the normal people out there get to have a cool hat like you?
Well, you can go to Rowdy Christian merch right now and buy this.
Because you keep wearing that around and sort of like rubbing it in people's faces. We had them at the conference, and people were like, one. "Where's that hat?"
I lost it. I got to tell you what happened yesterday. So Neil's in the studio, and he left his hat because he has the same hat back there on his desk. And I was talking, and all of a sudden I saw the hat, and I got interrupted in my conversation. I said, "Neil, you got to move your hat because." I just coveted the hat.
And I coveted the hat.
And I was like,
I just coveted the hat.
And I was about to say, man, this hat gonna be missing. I'm gonna be like, I don't know where it went to. This one mine though.
You lost yours?
Somebody took
it
at the conference.
At the conference?
Someone needed it at the conference.
Check eBay.
Hey, you guys, Pastor Toby's book is now out. No Mere Mortals.
Yes.
The trailer's fantastic. It was a little too long to bring into our introduction here, but the trailer is fantastic. Make sure you check it out. You can go to nomeremarriage.com.
It's true.
To buy the book. nomeremarriage.com. There we go.
We got to interview you on that book.
Yeah, we are. We can do that.
Hey, this show's brought to you by One Hat Technologies. One Hat's not a hat shop. It's a technology company. Software craftsmanship to the glory of God. One Hat builds custom apps of all kinds. Business apps, mobile apps, web apps, desktop apps, even apps for smart home devices. So you can tell Alexa to do stuff for you, I guess, if you want. So if you're in the market to have a new app developed, you should definitely check out One Hat. One Hat also builds custom websites, provides hosting solutions of all sizes. One Hat's core values are truth, goodness, and beauty, which shine forth in every app they create. They are striving to live out the lordship of Jesus Christ in the tech world. Amen. So if you'd like to have a new mobile app or business app or website made, visit onehat.com/crosspolitic so they know that we sent you.
One Hat comes in clutch.
And do that. And Scott's fantastic. In fact, I got a conference call with him today in our server company that we work with and everything. And Scott's just a great company. So make sure you guys check them out. OneHatTechnology.com or OneHat.com?
OneHat.com.
Okay, there we go.
OneHat.com.
Don't forget that. OneHat.com.
RowdyChristian.com.
So all these states, New Jersey, Iowa, Michigan, California, Oregon, Washington, and New York, have imposed stricter restrictions.
There's more.
Again. They're locking down. There's Idaho. Idaho did that on Friday.
Yeah.
Back to stage 2.
But we went back to stage 2.
Yeah. But there's more.
There's way more. All these states are starting to lock down.
Except South Dakota.
Except for South Dakota.
God bless you, Christy Nome.
Yep. I want to go to Disneyland. I want to go to South Dakota Disneyland.
Everybody, you better believe. You better believe businesses are thinking about where can they move to
South
right
Dakota.
now, so that they can just operate like normal people.
Even North Dakota just did a mask mandate.
Yes, they did.
Yep.
I'm telling you,
he's a Republican too.
I know.
He buckled.
He was like, "I want to be cool too, guys.
Yeah.
Will you invite me to your cool parties?"
Yeah. And you know what's crazy? I reported on that. One of the things he said was, "We trust North Dakotans." I was like, no, you don't.
No, you don't.
He's like, we trust that they know how to make their own decisions. No, you don't.
We trust that you know how to obey us.
That's all you know.
Stay under our boots.
Yeah, wear a mask. So all these states are locking down. Pennsylvania is, I think, even recommend. I don't know if it's a requirement or recommendation, but asking you to wear a mask even in your own house.
Yeah.
Why not? Why not?
Do you know there's a couple states that have imposed curfews now?
Yeah,
no way.
Yes,
because COVID
Minnesota
doesn't come out after 10 o'clock.
Minnesota has imposed curfews.
Minnesota.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Is that the only state?
No, there's more.
I think there's a couple other states.
California, I think, is working on curfew.
Because the state really wants to be your mom.
How about this nanny state? That's
right?
unbelievable.
You need to go to bed so that you don't get COVID.
But if exactly.
We don't trust you.
Yeah, it's time to go to bed. So read a book in bed and go to
10
sleep.
o'clock. You need to go to bed now.
But all this restrictions and lockdowns, it just becomes impossible to enforce, and it becomes impossible
give him a
to
second.
follow.
Give him a second.
No. It's the second.
Did you see?
Not enforce. Follow.
Yeah, follow.
Yeah.
That's true. It's hard to enforce. It's impossible to follow.
Unless you did what in Manitoba. Manitoba hired a private security firm to go around enforcing it.
But they can do it.
Private
Absolutely.
security
Oh,
firm.
they will. I mean, you have heard of the Soviet Union, right? You've heard of China.
Yeah,
You've heard of North Korea.
That's right.
And they've been enforcing this kind of draconian measures for decades, for years.
What do you think Minnesota's going to do when they get rid of their police force?
Yeah. Oh, they're going to
private security firm.
Private security
What do you
team.
think is going to happen? France figured this out a long time ago.
Police never goes away.
That's right.
But it's the problem is that they are making everybody into criminals.
And so,
by default,
they're turning everybody into criminals.
By default,
and
absolutely.
it's easy to become a hypocrite in all this.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Not just
by default.
Everybody.
By default.
Everybody's a criminal.
It's a hell of a drug.
Everybody is a hypocrite.
It's a hell of a drug. So this last week, Gavin Newsom, maybe it's 2 weeks ago when this actually happened, but it came out. Within the last 2 weeks, Gavin Newsom was at a private birthday of one of his friends at a winery in Nampa, and he got caught not social distancing, not wearing a mask. And the news is reporting this. This is what's hilarious. The news reporting this is, but he was eating outdoors. Yeah. Which he wasn't. He was eating inside, but they opened up the big glass doors, and they're calling that is like eating outdoors.
Right.
And everything. So Gavin Newsom, literally today, released an apology.
This is yesterday.
That a few weeks ago, I was asked to go to a friend's 50th birthday. My wife and I, a friend that I've known for almost 20 years, and a friend that put a lot of time and energy into his 50th birthday. It was in Napa, which was in the orange status, relatively loose compared to some other counties.
Not purple.
It was to be an outdoor restaurant, and we started the program started at 4 o'clock. It was one of those early reservations. I got there a little bit late at 4:30.
Anything.
And as soon as I sat down at the larger table, I realized it was a little larger group than I had anticipated. And I made a bad mistake.
No,
Instead of sitting down, I should have stood up and walked back, got in my car, and drove back to my house. Instead, I chose to sit there with my wife and a number of other couples that were outside the household. And you can quibble about the guidelines, et cetera, but the spirit of what I'm preaching all the time was contradicted, and I got to own that. And so I want to apologize to you because I need to preach and practice, not just preach and not practice. And I've done my best to do that. We're all human. We all fall short sometimes.
Oh, he's quoting.
We've been out, I think,
Paul?
3 times since.
Falling short?
I know it's been 3 times because I remember all of those dinners very, very vividly since February, just 3 times. Twice with my wife, by myself, outdoors, and then this one occasion with a larger group. And there were just a few extra people there than the spirit of what I am promoting. And so if we're going to minimize mixing, you got to own up to that. So I just want folks to know that. Paid for our dinner, and we
you paid for it.
We had an early dinner, but didn't matter. I shouldn't have been there. I should have turned back around. No. And so when that happens, you pay the price, but you also own the mistake, and you don't ever make it again. And you have my word on that.
What's the price?
For
you
him,
know what the price
for him,
is?
nothing. Nothing for him.
Yeah.
So we all get a mulligan now, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna pull out my Gavin Newsom card. Everybody have a Gavin Newsom card and be like, we all make mistakes. We all fall short.
I should have, instead of sitting down, I should have stood up.
I thought this was a Joel Osteen sermon for a minute.
Just
looking at this, I'm like,
no. But what did he fall short of? We talked about this.
His own standards.
Yeah.
That he put in place.
His God is the state.
Yeah.
His God is himself. His God is his own wisdom.
Right.
That's his sin. He fell short of himself.
Yeah, great. So where does he go to get cleaned at? One of the things that bothered me about this too was it wasn't just him that showed up there. Like California's medical associates, they showed up there too. Some people from there.
At this guy's 50th birthday party, there's a bunch of medical doctors?
Yes. At least one is a lobbyist for that group, but Dustin Cochran is one of the top CMA lobbyists, top CMA guys that was there, and one of the lobbyists, Janice Norman, was also there. So,
and they represent the medical field.
California Medical Associates.
They were all there.
Some of the officials were there with him as well. Not social distancing. Some people said they were super loud. They were shoulder to shoulder in the event with no mask on. Now, here's what's crazy. The reason he's talking about the letter of the law is because the place is set up to actually be outside.
Right.
That's what they say it is. It's not outside.
Yeah.
They just got doors open, right? So all the stuff is met. So why is he apologizing if everything was met? Because it wasn't the spirit of the law?
Spirit of the law.
Y'all, this is scary. When he has to come out publicly and say, I wasn't following the spirit of the law, what do you think you have to follow now?
Yeah, the letter.
Right?
Yeah.
No. You have to follow how he feels about
my point by there is how do you know what his spirit of the law means?
Right.
But that's why it's like you've got to get in line. You've got to even follow it better.
But it's not the letter. It's the point.
Exactly.
And we've been getting discipled in this for a minute.
Absolutely.
By the Supreme Court.
Yes.
There's a famous word in I can't remember which ruling it is. Somebody that's watching or listening to this, but the judges have been finding various rulings for a while, the Supreme Court, in the penumbra of the law, the penumbra of the Constitution. And
penumbra.
Penumbra. Say it with me. Penumbra.
Right.
Okay. What is that? It's not in the words. It's not in the letter of the law. The penumbra, they're saying this is sort of associated with it. Umbra in Latin just means shadow. And it's talking, what's a shadow? It's, the thing, between the light and the reality.
Right. Yeah.
It's not quite there. You can't, it's sort of fuzzy. This is how they're ruling, that, a woman's right to privacy includes the right to murder her baby.
Right. This is how they're
penumbra. The penumbra. And it's this, and basically this is another way of saying the spirit of the law.
Right.
Where did they pull homosexual marriage, mirage, out of, where did they pull that out of?
The penumbra?
The penumbra, right? They said the right of, even though the founding fathers would have no interest at all.
Penumbra, nothing.
Of overturning the law. We had DOMA on the books, Defense of Marriage Act. How many states had marriage laws? Like 30?
30, there's 30-something. Between man and a woman.
States defined marriages between a man and woman. That's how you make laws.
Right.
And there's nothing in the Constitution that says otherwise.
Right.
And they said basically
the Supreme Court overturns
it. The spirit of the law is that they have the right to the pursuit of happiness.
Right.
So isn't that?
And they said this is not making them happy because they can't get married. And so you're wrong. Penumbra.
Oh, that's
Penumbra.
That sounds like tongues.
Penumbra.
But isn't that exactly what got the Pharisees in trouble?
Yeah. But here's
the penumbra.
But that's the thing is, as soon as you leave the law of God and you have the law of man, then all you got is penumbra.
Right.
It's all shadows.
That's
You're
right.
making it up as you go along, but it gets more and more legalistic.
That's
and
really
this
good.
is where it's like you're talking about, like, I mean, you have to start defining, I mean, is it inside or outdoors? I mean, how many doors do you have to open? And then it's open.
Right.
Then it's outdoors.
Right.
You know, how many, 6 feet, 5 feet, 3 feet? I mean, which, what was the science experiment that the girls did this year?
Yeah.
I mean, we don't
in their high school.
We don't know.
That's right.
But it's like, it gets more and more legalistic. God's law is so simple.
Yes, it is.
And it sets you free.
Yeah.
Well, we have penumbra about that right now.
Penumbra is a noose around your neck.
Well, when Gavin Newsom came out with his apology, I started thinking about all the politicians.
It's not an apology. Don't give him that.
And by the way, can we just say this really clear? He didn't really do anything wrong.
Why are you trying to defend Newsom?
Exactly.
This is another thing we got to point to. He didn't do anything wrong.
Nothing wrong.
And you won't be doing anything wrong either this Thanksgiving when you get your people together shoulder to shoulder and have a lovely Thanksgiving.
But he sinned against his false gods.
That's right.
He sinned against false gods, but he's not forgiven.
Right.
There's no forgiveness with any other God.
No God but Christ.
No God but Christ, no king but Christ. And Gavin, you're still in your sins.
So
you're still guilty.
And so I started thinking back about, okay, what happened in this last 6 months and all the hypocrisy that we've seen from various either politicians or legislation that's coming through. And this video, I was reminded of this
you want a review?
Yeah, I want a review here.
Gym owners demanding to reopen, citing a double standard after learning some gyms in government buildings are allowed to operate.
Oh, sure.
There's just a lot of unanswered questions as to why these gyms were allowed to remain open, and there is no reason that they should delay letting gyms reopen indoors at limited capacity with full COVID safety protocols.
And
so this is in California?
This is this summer in California. Yep. Also, of course, it's California.
This happened in several states.
Gyms and government buildings were being allowed to operate.
Right.
Yeah,
inside.
That. Yeah, that was early in this whole setup. I remember that.
It was.
Well, because government is in the high priesthood.
Yep.
And the high priests, they get special indulgences.
They get the pass
from their gods.
They get the pass.
Part of the problem too is y'all should have just said no. It's a simple word.
Right.
It's got 2 letters in it, and all you have to do is say
no.
One syllable. Yeah. No.
Let's practice.
No. All together, and just open your doors.
Yeah.
One more time. No. We're not going to do it.
But here's the thing. He's like, so even where he's wanting to be treated equally, he's wanting to put the pinch of incense on all the altars.
Right.
We'll do the social distancing. We'll follow all your regulations. We'll do the things. We'll submit. We'll bow to the gods. Just treat us equally.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
right. But here's the thing. The goddess of equality, she doesn't care.
Yep.
The goddess of equality doesn't exist.
No, because the thing is neutral. There's no such neutral is always the opposite side of where you are.
No.
Okay.
No neutrality.
Yeah, and so equality is the same thing. It's not equality.
Right.
It's not equality. It's the opposite of you. That's what this is.
And fundamentally, this is because whenever you idolize something, you're in the process of destroying it and causing it to destroy you. That's what all idols do. Okay.
Exactly.
And so when you idolize equality, you don't get equality.
That's right.
You only get equality when you worship the triune God.
That's right.
I don't know how many times we got to say this so people are going to get it. We are in a worship issue. We are not.
It's absolutely
this
a
is
worship
not
issue.
a pandemic of sickness.
Right. No, we have false gods.
Which is why we're debating Levitical laws.
That's exactly right.
Oh, yeah, right. Because these gods are making you clean. They're trying to, and they're not.
Come on,
exactly
they're
right.
not.
Go, Toby.
Yeah.
Well, and if you think there's,
Oh, we got to talk. We got to see
we're getting here. I'm getting here.
Come on.
Less time of her on screen, the better.
If there's no God over Caesar, then Caesar's God, right? Caesar's king. Which is why Nancy Pelosi and all these politicians can kind of get away with this, and Governor Newsom can kind of get away with this because they have no Jesus above, they have no God above,
right.
And so even when they make mistakes within their own little worldview, it doesn't hurt them because they're God.
If we wear masks.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi under fire tonight after security footage showed her inside a San Francisco hair salon that's closed to the general public because of coronavirus. The salon's owner releasing security footage to Fox News, telling Fox, quote, "It's like a slap in the face." Pelosi today insisting the salon told her it was allowed.
It was clearly a setup. I take responsibility for falling for a setup by a neighborhood salon that I've gone to for years. Well, I don't. I think that that this salon owes me an apology for setting up.
The salon wasn't following the rules. Even though indoor services are allowed by the state of California, the city of San Francisco only started allowing any hair appointments on Tuesday, and they must be outdoors.
So that happened this summer.
Right.
But because Caesar actually demands an apology from their people. Caesar, you set me up. You should apologize to me for setting me up.
Right. And who knows? I don't even know what happened, really. Like, I mean, was it a setup?
Oh, I'm sure it was. I'm sure.
Cares?
I'm sure it was.
Yeah. Who cares? I'm more upset that the beautician, whoever's shop this was, I would have posted the video and opened up my shop doors. Yeah. Forget it. Right.
Yeah.
I'm done with this. Yeah. And I was thinking, there's so much rank. It's not just hypocrisy in the leaders. We have it even in how we try and operate. If you watch, I watched our Governor Little, go to the stand and talk about.
It's on Friday, so his press conference on Friday.
More than one. More than one time. Yeah. Get up to the stand and have his mask on and take his mask off. Talk on the microphone and sit there and put his mask down on the table, then sanitize his hands, whatever was on his mask just blew into the air, and then sit there,
touch the microphone,
grab his mask, put it back on, and another person comes right up to the mic, takes his mask off, does the same thing,
so many microphone,
adjust the microphone, put his mask down right where the governor, and then everybody sit there and do the same thing, and they'll be up at them stand talking 10, 15 minutes, get back up, take the mask and put it back on. I'm thinking to myself, or if you go to Kentucky Fried Chicken or McDonald's or anywhere, and they have these services where no touchless. Yeah. You just touched all my food.
Yeah.
Even
with their rubber gloves.
Even with their rubber. Well, they don't change them after every opportunity.
Touch.
You remember the presidential, the opening to the presidential debate? When he's scolding the people.
Like, and you will not take off your mask.
And then he hands the mic to the guy next to him.
Thank you. Appreciate the I mean, the hypocrisy is rank.
Yeah,
it is rank. And this is why, not just opening up your business to go back and do normal life again. Yeah. I mean, this is ridiculous. We shouldn't even be listening to these people.
The thing is so all of this is driven by guilt. And all of this is driven by despair. Francis Schaeffer has a great book that came out a number of years ago called No Escape. It's called Escape from Reason.
Yeah. I love that book. Yeah. Love that book.
And one of the things he does really, really helpfully is basically sketch the history of philosophy over the last few hundred years. But what he notes, and the theme that he's tracing, is what he calls the line of despair.
Yeah. Oh.
And he says basically Christians, it starts out with Christians basically slowly despairing that they can know God, that they can know the truth.
Yep.
And so as they despair, they try to defend their despair and sort of patch it up and be like, well, it's not so bad. Yeah. We got our senses, or we got reason, or we got, archaeology, all this kind of stuff, and rather than trusting the word of God.
Yeah.
But what happens is when people despair, and it bleeds into everything. Why do they despair? They despair because they're guilty. Right. They despair because they've messed up. They despair because they are hypocrites.
Right.
Because everyone's got hypocrisy. Right. No one's clean. But what they're doing is fundamentally they slide into a state of despair, and they say basically this is just the way the world is.
Yeah.
There's no God above us, no heaven above us. All we got is us, and we just got to try to survive.
Right.
That's what this is.
Yeah.
The mask up thing. It's despair on display.
Yep.
That's what it is. We don't know who we are. We're lost. We don't know what happens after we die. There's nothing to be done for us and our kids. And it's just this group think.
To our bankruptcy.
It's this group think. And then the despair just cycles on itself because there's, more hypocrisy, and it breeds more hypocrisy. And you just say, well, we're all in this together and we're all a mess. And nobody has any hope.
And where's the end in sight?
Right. There's no end
in sight.
And that's where the Christian gospel is completely unique in that it says, no, nothing in this world can save us.
Yeah.
God has to come from outside this world. He has to intervene into this world. Right. He sends his son into this world.
Amen.
And he intervenes and he stops our hypocrisy.
That's right.
He takes our hypocrisy, he dies for our hypocrisy, he rises again, and he begins to actually make people new.
That's right. Amen.
But that has to happen. And otherwise, This is what polytheism and pantheism does.
Yes, that's right.
Back to the worship point.
Yep.
Okay, we have false gods on every corner, and they are beating us up.
So we got all these states going back into lockdown pretty significantly.
Yeah.
Yep.
What practical, churches maybe can't have 25% or supposedly shouldn't have more than 25% occupancy, or you can't have Thanksgiving with your family.
Try me.
Yeah.
Catch me outside,
or, or even restaurants in like Washington. So I was going to go on a little vacation during Thanksgiving with a family friend of ours, and we're getting an Airbnb together. And the Airbnb emailed my buddy last week and said, because of the new governor's orders, you guys can't have both families.
This is an Airbnb, by the way.
This is Airbnb.
They own it.
Yeah.
It's theirs.
It's theirs. It's their house.
Yeah.
And he said, we're sorry, but you can't have both families in the house now.
Right.
And so they're going to lose, $1,000, whatever my buddy was paying for the weekend.
Right.
And so, what advice should we be? How do we help those who are in more significant lockdown than we are?
Number one, worship the triune God on the Lord's Day.
Yeah,
that's right.
This is the tip of the spear.
Got to.
How does God give Israel Canaan? He sends in the singers. Yeah. He sends in the priests.
And guess
he
what
sends in the ark and says, march around the city.
Yeah.
Okay? That's what you do when you worship God. Gather with God's people on Sunday morning. And I would say...
would you have 25% occupancy?
At this point, no. Yeah. I'm done with it.
Yeah.
I think we need to have about 10. I would love to have 100.
We need 125% occupancy in the church.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's where that needs to go.
No, absolutely. And I think at this point, what we need is a lot of cameras.
Yeah.
And get ready to share.
That's right.
Go worship
Live
God.
stream.
Make the cops come.
Yeah.
Make them interrupt, and then put it online.
Yeah.
I think we get 5-10 of those online, and a bunch of those cops are done.
Right.
Now, I don't know I think you need to count the cost and you need to be ready for that. But I think we need some brave soldiers to say, look, we're done with this.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And
I just want to say, underline the thing, count the cost.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a different calculation by state on how you do this and how you handle this.
But
count those costs.
But if you're not willing to do this now, you need to move out of your state.
That's right.
Leave. Yeah. If you're not going to fight, then do a strategic retreat to where you can fight.
Yeah.
But if you're going to just sit there hunkering down, you're not helping anybody, and you're a disgrace to the gospel. You really are.
There's two ways of retreat on that, and I'm seeing both of these happen at the same time, which is scaring me. Some people are seeing that it's coming, and they're running away, not to fight, but they're running away to hide so they can have a little more space before these guys come in. Mm-hmm. And that's not the right retreat.
No. When I say strategic retreat.
To be able to go fight.
Go find a place where you can fight.
That's right.
And I know you can't just get up and move tomorrow, but I'm start making plans then.
But you know what, though, Pastor? This isn't. Look, I said this before. 7 years ago, almost 7 years, in March it'll be 7 years when I got here, Darren Doan was thinking about this way before. This isn't new.
Right.
What we're happening, what's going on right now, this isn't a new concept. Right. So the fact that some people are being woken up to it, okay, great. But this is something that we should have been seeing coming a long time ago.
We should have. But
it wasn't coronavirus.
Now, I just said a minute ago, some people are a disgrace to the gospel. I'm going to come back around the other side and I'm going to say, but as a pastor, I'm willing to be patient with people who realize they didn't see what was coming.
Yeah, I got it. I didn't see what was coming.
Yeah.
I accidentally stumbled to where I'm at.
But it's here now.
It's here now. But leaders, I'm talking about leaders in certain, they need to be, we can't call ourselves, leading people if not knowing what the culture. Pastor Wilson said this one Sunday, people can exegete their Bible, but they're not exegeting the times.
Right. Yep.
You need both of those. Those are compatible because the word of God applies in the time that you're actually in.
So you need to worship God.
Yep.
You need to find a church that's open, find a church that's doing the best they can
to
push against this. And I, again, recognize different states and different cities. Maybe there are going to be different calls that'll be more strategic, but you've got to be pushing back against this hard, and it needs to be pushed back against in the name of Jesus.
Right.
Absolutely.
In worship.
Has to be.
On the Lord's Day. Number 2, be planning the biggest Thanksgiving celebration that you can possibly manage.
Come on now.
Again,
get the cameras out.
Again, there's various limitations on, you might have a, grandma that lives with you and you got to be kind of careful with her. I understand, but you do the best you can, the biggest you can, the most joyful you can.
But you manage that.
And that's you, and that's on you. And again, count the cost. But again, I think if we could get, half dozen or a dozen police officers showing up at a few of these places and can't film that thing, then breaking up Thanksgiving dinner in America.
Yeah.
And then share that on, It's over.
I think too,
it's over
with our businesses. There's another place with our businesses to say, "Hey, man, go to the other businesses next to you. How about we just don't follow
and then
these arbitrary?"
That's my third thing. My third thing is, and then talk to your community.
That's right.
Talk to your sheriff. Talk to the businesses down your row and say, hey, there's always. I think some people are in a position to just say, look, we're not going to obey. Come get us. And I think you need to be willing to do that. But there's strength in numbers. And if you can get 10 other businesses to do it with you, are they really going to take you all down?
Right.
Are they really going to? I think again, I think people need to start learning that. What was that word that you taught us a little while ago?
No.
No. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that's a good word.
See how easy it is to forget? That's why you got to keep saying it. That's why you got to keep saying it. No. I'm going to write it down. No.
And graciously, cheerfully, joyfully, and firm.
That's right.
No. Yeah. We're free Americans. I got to provide for my family. I'm a Christian. I'm under God. This virus, we didn't know in the beginning. We now know. Under 70, this is basically a flu.
Yeah.
Okay? And we're gonna recover. There are some people that need to be more protected. Great. Let's protect them. Let's defend them. Be careful, Grandma. Be careful.
This is nothing new under the sun.
But bottom line is this is the family's job to protect the health of their family.
Right.
Okay? Neighbors protect neighbors. This is not the government's job. This is not the bubonic plague. This is not Ebola. This is not this is not a pandemic like that.
That's right.
And if we've never done this before for this kind of thing.
This is a trial. We're in a trial era right now.
Always in the last 100 years, we have had a number of other bad flus, bad viruses,
swine flu, Spanish flu.
Back to the Spanish flu, which was way worse than this.
Yes.
And we did not have this kind of lockdown.
Never did lockdowns.
We did not. If we can make it through all of these, without this kind of severity, without this kind of nannying, without curfews, without being told what's essential and non-essential, without these mask mandates.
Without canceling Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Because we can maneuver for something else.
Why now?
Yeah.
That's the question.
Yeah.
Why now?
Yeah.
There's no precedent for this.
None whatsoever.
And
we've always quarantined the sick. Yeah. We've always quarantined the sick. That's what we've done. Yeah. But people with gyms to shut down the healthiest people going to gyms
I know.
to shut
That's
down
so
healthy people
from
when we know this virus really doesn't mess with healthy people that way.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. The other thing I want to add to that is when you see a video like the Jews who were in New York and they got ran up on by the police because they had more than 10 people in the house.
Inside their house. They got ran up on inside their house.
You share those videos.
Share the video.
Do not let those go past your social media feed. You share them.
Right.
Everyone you see was a Christian brother, sister, the churches or whatever that happens they filmed. You share those videos because as long as we have the platforms, we need to be able to use them.
Yeah, we're in this together with anybody, all free thinking Christians and Americans. That's what we need. We need to band together, and if you don't have somebody nearby, find somebody nearby, join them, and put up a fight. Learn that word. What was that word?
No.
Hey, we got that.
If you're single, get married. If you're married, have kids. If you have kids, go baptize them. Until Sunday, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Go fight, laugh, and feast. This is Cross Politic.